Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your host, Josh Logan, and you are listening to Confessions of an Insider. This is the place where automotive strategy meets market reality, the ASMR edition. This week, we are talking about one theme and one theme only, the rug pull. It's that critical, often brutal moment when the story you're being told is yanked away, revealing a much harsher reality underneath. It happens at every level of the auto industry, from the CEO's corner office to the investor's portfolio, all the way down to the price you see on a dealer's website. Today, we're exposing three of the biggest rug pulls happening right now, starting at the very top of the food chain.
Okay, let's jump right in. We're kicking off today's deep dive with a number that's definitely turning heads. General Motors CEO Mary Barra, over just the last 12 months, has sold something like $145 million of GM stock.
Yeah, it's a staggering figure, and it's not just a one-off sale.
Right, so our mission here is to unpack that, go beyond the headline number, look at the timeline, this sort of systematic selling, and really assess this argument that it's, well, maybe less about GM itself and more about a view on the whole U.S. economy's future stability.
Exactly. And what jumps out, right away from the SEC filings, is the asymmetry. You look at the data, there are just, zero significant stock buys from Barra in that whole period. None.
No countersignal at all.
None. And she's not alone. You see the company president, VPs, other top execs, they're kind of moving in lockstep. Consistent multi-million-dollar sales. It's purely an outward flow of cash from the people who should know the most.
But, execs sell stock all the time, right? For diversification, taxes on grants, estate planning. How do the sources convince us this is different? That it's really a vote of no confidence, not just standard portfolio stuff?
It's the scale and the acceleration. That's the key. We're not looking at just, regular annual plan sales. The data shows the selling got more frequent and the amounts got bigger.
Okay.
Think about those two huge sales just in August and September 2025, back to back.
Right, I saw that. Over $100 million.
Over $104 million combined just in those 2 months. So when an insider like her sells off more than half her stock holdings, $145 million in a year, that sheer volume, it changes things. It goes from maybe routine to something that looks like a data-driven statement that needs real scrutiny.
A data-driven indictment, as some sources put it.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's pivot then. Why isn't this just about GM? By most accounts, GM's doing okay, right? They've navigated the supply chain mess. They're pushing into EVs. Operationally, they seem pretty solid.
And that's actually the core of the argument. The fact that GM is operationally stable, or seems to be, makes the selling more alarming, not less.
How so?
Well, think about the information advantage a CEO of a global giant like GM has. She sees global supply chain health in real time. That's a huge indicator for global commerce. And, crucially, she gets an early look at consumer credit trends through GM Financial, their auto loan division.
Ah, okay. Connect that for us, the auto finance arm.
Yeah.
How's that like a canary in the coal mine for the wider economy?
Right. That's a unique insight from this analysis. GM Financial is deep in consumer credit. They'll see stress like subprime loan issues, early defaults, potentially months before it shows up in big national stats like GDP or unemployment figures.
So it's a leading indicator she has access to.
A very sensitive, very granular leading indicator. So when someone with that kind of early warning system starts systematically de-risking $145 million, the interpretation shifts. It suggests maybe caution about the whole system's stability, not just whether they'll sell more trucks next quarter.
That really does put it in a much bigger context.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of de-risking, it ties into how executives are paid, doesn't it? The sources really critique the shareholder alignment idea here.
Oh, absolutely. For decades, the whole point of giving massive stock awards was supposedly to align exec interests with shareholders. Long-term value, right?
Yeah, that's the theory.
But the system, as it works now, often lets executives cash out hundreds of millions pretty quickly. And often they pay the lower long-term capital gains tax rate on that. So does that really align them? Especially when you compare it to, say, the salaried or hourly workers paying regular income tax rates.
It creates a disconnect.
A big one, the sources argue it enables a kind of protected class of insiders. They can extract huge value, minimize their tax hit, and de-risk their own finances, maybe regardless of the long-term impact.
So wrapping this up for the listener, What's the takeaway? You've got execs who have to sound confident in public, for market stability. But then you have these SEC filings, these actions, a year-long, 9-figure selling spree, 0 buys. That's the unvarnished truth.
It's certainly presented as the unvarnished truth in these analyses, the ultimate confession of an insider, maybe, written in stock trades, not press releases. At the end of the day, the argument is that actions, especially at this scale, are the real data point.
Yeah.
Where people put their own money or take it off the table, that speaks volumes.
Right. So the provocative thought we want to leave you with is this. You can see these actions. The best informed players are making these moves publicly via filings. How much weight should you really give this huge, nonverbal $145 million warning sign when you're trying to figure out the economy's real direction? Something to think about amid all the mixed signals out there.
So let's be very clear. That is the CEO's rug pull. The public-facing reality is one of confidence, quarterly earnings calls, and positive forward-looking statements. That's the story we're told. The rug pull comes in the form of a quiet SEC filing, revealing a sustained $145 million exit strategy. This isn't about a lack of faith in General Motors. It's arguably a lack of faith in the stability of the economic road ahead. When the person with more insider knowledge than anyone else in the company makes a year-long, concerted effort to convert her stock into cash, it is the ultimate confession of an insider. It's the difference between what is said for public consumption and what is done for private preservation. It's the first and perhaps most significant sign that the people at the top are bracing for turbulence. They're pulling their own rug to a safer, more liquid position. And as we discovered this week, she is not the only one.
We are diving deep today into, a really loud signal in the financial world. We're talking about Warren Buffett completely selling off his huge stake in BYD.
Yeah, BYD, the world's biggest EV maker. And this isn't just, trimming a position.
No, not at all.
This is the final chapter for one of the most incredibly successful investments we've seen in ages, a full exit.
And when you put that together with some other things happening, like executive sales elsewhere, it really paints a picture, doesn't it?
It really does. It demands attention.
Okay, let's just establish the sheer scale here first.
Yeah.
Because the success is, frankly, amazing. You have to remember, this goes back to 2008.
Right, 2008. EVs were hardly mainstream then.
Exactly. And Berkshire Hathaway put in $232 million.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot, but it got them 10% of this fairly unknown Chinese company at the time.
BYD, yeah. And that $232 million, it absolutely ballooned.
Ballooned is an understatement.
At its peak, we're talking $7, maybe even $10 billion.
Wow.
That's more than 30 times their money over about 17 years. Just a classic long-term home run.
But here's the kicker, the paradox, right? Buffett is Mr. Hold Forever. That's his whole philosophy.
It is his favorite holding period.
So for him to walk away completely from this winner after nearly 2 decades, it feels like more than just taking profits off the table. It suggests, a really strong conviction about what's next.
I think that's right. And that conviction, it comes down to professional discipline. It's about the risk versus reward calculation.
How so?
Basically, it looks like the calculation has flipped. Maybe the potential upside from here just doesn't justify the potential downside anymore.
Okay.
An amateur might try to squeeze out every last drop, but a pro knows when a company like BYD, which is now dominant, has probably seen its biggest, easiest gains already priced in.
So the message is, the massive growth story is largely recognized, the easy money's been made, and the risk profile has changed.
Precisely. The potential for future disappointment or negative surprises starts to outweigh the hope for more huge gains.
But is it just about valuation? I mean, selling such a massive winner feels like leaving a lot of potential future money on the table, right? Opportunity cost.
It definitely is an opportunity cost, unless you think the future of success is facing headwinds the company itself can't control.
Okay.
And that's where it gets really interesting. It looks like Buffett is essentially selling because of a risk you won't find neatly on a balance sheet. geopolitics.
The trade tensions,
Yeah.
tariffs, restrictions, that sort of thing.
Exactly that. You see countries, especially in, say, Europe and North America, becoming much more protective of their own industry.
Right. Economic nationalism.
So no matter how good BYD's cars are or how efficient their manufacturing is, if these huge markets start putting up walls, tariffs, quotas, whatever.
It creates a ceiling on their global growth.
Yeah.
A hard ceiling.
Yes, a ceiling that's political, not based on the company's performance. And we're seeing moves in that direction already.
So the exit is kind of an admission then that some risks, these big geopolitical ones, are just too unpredictable, too big to really manage.
I think that's a fair way to put it. It's a strategic retreat from a certain kind of risk.
Okay, this is fascinating. So the world's maybe most famous investor sees this geopolitical limit, this instability, and decides to cash out completely from the world's biggest EV maker.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to connect that dot to other signals. We've also seen GM CEO Mary Barra selling a lot of her stock systematically.
That's a crucial piece of context. Over $145 million worth, I believe.
Right. Now, obviously, 145 million isn't 10 billion. The scale is different.
Totally different scale.
But the type of signal feels eerily similar, doesn't it?
It does. You've got the ultimate passive investor, Buffett, getting completely out of the #1 global EV player.
And at the same time,
You have the top executive, the active leader, at the biggest U.S. automaker, systematically reducing her own stake.
it's like the same defensive move.
Yeah.
From the person buying the market and the person running the company.
Exactly. Both seem to be hedging their bets, signaling caution.
So what's the big takeaway here? Is the sky falling?
No, I don't think it's forecasting an immediate crash or anything like that. It's more subtle.
Okay.
It's more like a clear-eyed assessment that maybe that era of, smooth, politically stable global growth, especially in autos, and maybe other high-growth sectors too.
Easy gains.
The easy gains might be behind us. The landscape is getting more complicated, more politically charged.
So wrapping this up, what should you, the listener, take away from this?
Well, look, Buffett made his name partly by knowing when the music was stopping, right? Knowing when to walk away from the table, even with a winning hand.
Yeah, discipline.
His decision here to completely cash out of a massive winner like BYD, well, you should really think about what that might suggest about future stability.
About those political headwinds facing global companies, even the biggest leaders. Something to definitely mull over.
And that right there is the investor's rug pull. For years, the story has been simple. EVs are the future, and the growth is infinite. The world's largest EV maker, BYD, was the poster child for this narrative. The rug pull is the moment the world's most disciplined, patient, and successful investor, a man who held this stock for 17 years, decides the story is over. He cashed in his chips and walked away from the table. He isn't waiting for one more bump in the stock price. He is making a definitive statement that the risk from geopolitical tensions, from sky-high valuations, now outweighs the reward. When you connect the dots, the pattern is alarming. You have a top CEO in America and a top investor globally, both pulling the rug on their own positions at the exact same time. They're both signaling that the era of easy, predictable growth is over. But the rug pull that affects you most directly, that one happens every single day on thousands of dealer websites across the country.
Okay, so if you are even thinking about buying a car right now, you know where it starts, right? Staring at that dealer website.
Mm-hmm.
You click the shiny picture, and boom, there's this amazing internet price. It often looks, well, bafflingly low.
Yeah, suspiciously low sometimes.
Exactly. And today, we're really going to pull back the curtain on that number because, let's be honest, if it feels too good to be true, well, it probably is.
It usually is, that advertised price. For most people, it's pretty much fiction. It's bait, pure bait to get you into the dealership.
Right.
So our goal today, really, is to give you the blueprint, how to decode those tactics before you waste your time going down there.
So you can figure out the real final price, that out-the-door number, without leaving your house.
That's the idea. From your couch, ideally.
Okay, let's dig in. The first big trick dealers use, this one's sneaky.
Yep.
The hidden down payment requirement?
Oh yeah, this one gets a lot of people. It's clever in a deceptive way.
How does it work?
Well, that super low price you see. Often, it's only valid after you've put down a big chunk of cash or trade equity, like a substantial amount.
Wait, so they're advertising the price after I've already paid them thousands?
Essentially, yeah. They're advertising the amount you'd finance, not the actual selling price of the car. We saw the source example, right? A car listed at like $25,995 but buried in the fine print. You needed a $3,000 non-finance down payment just to qualify for that price.
Wow. Okay, that's incredibly misleading. So that car wasn't really $25,995 at all.
Not even close once you factor everything in. In that specific case, the actual cash price before tax ended up being, get this, over $5,000 higher than that initial bait price.
$5,000 just from that and other fees.
Yep. And that $3,000 required down payment is just where the difference starts piling up.
Okay, so that's lie number one. What's next?
That brings us right to lie number 2, the mandatory financing trap.
The financing. I've heard about this.
Yeah. Often, to get that amazing online price, the fine print says you must finance through one of the dealer's, quote, approved lenders.
Even if I walk in with cash. Or like a pre-approved check from my own bank or credit union.
Especially then, they don't want your cash or your pre-approval if it means they can't control the financing.
But why? If I'm paying, I'm paying. Why force their financing?
Profit, pure and simple. This is where the dealer's F&I office, that's finance and insurance, makes a killing.
How?
By making you use their lenders, they can often mark up the interest rate you qualify for. Maybe just 1%, sometimes 2%.
That doesn't sound like that much.
But over a 5 or 6 year loan, that small percentage bump translates into thousands of dollars in extra profit for the dealer, just pure markup on the rate.
So they're actually penalizing the most responsible buyers, the ones with cash or great credit who got their own loan.
Exactly. It's kind of wild, isn't it? The cash buyer suddenly can't get the advertised deal because they aren't letting the dealer dip into the financing profit.
Unbelievable. Okay, what's lie number 3?
Lie number 3, the excluded high profit fees. These are all those mandatory charges that somehow just never seem to make it into that advertised online price.
Right, the surprise extras when you actually sit down to do the paperwork.
Precisely. We're talking about things like inflated dealer processing or documentary fees. You see these hitting $800, $900, sometimes even more, depending on the state limit.
And those reconditioning fees.
Oh, don't get me started. Reconditioning, cleaning the car, maybe fixing a scratch. That's the cost of doing business for a dealer selling a used car. They shouldn't charge you extra for making the car sellable.
It feels like double dipping. And what about those mandatory add-ons like nitrogen in the tires or VIN etching?
Yeah, my personal favorites. Things that cost the dealer maybe $20 and they try to charge you hundreds, sometimes marked up 1,000% or more.
Yeah.
Paint sealant, fabric protection.
Stuff you could probably do yourself for way less if you even wanted it.
Exactly. But here's the key thing. Focusing on each individual fee is a distraction. That's what they want. They want you arguing over the $99 nitrogen fee.
So what should we focus on?
The only number that matters. The final all-in, out-the-door price. The OTD price. That includes the vehicle price, all taxes, all mandatory fees, everything. That's your real cost.
Okay, so ignore the little battles. Focus on the total war chest needed. How do we actually fight back? Using the internet, turn it into our tool.
Right. You can use their own turf against them. We've got a simple 3-step battle plan from the source material.
Lay it on me.
Step 1. Before you even email or call, scroll down and read that tiny disclaimer text first. See what hoops they expect you to jump through for that low price. Know their rules before you engage.
Okay, good intel. Step 2.
Step 2. Launch what we call the out-the-door email offensive. Send a very specific, non-generic email. Don't just say, is this car available?
What should it say?
You ask for a full itemized out-the-door quote. And here's the crucial part. Explicitly state in the email that you plan on using your own financing or paying cash and that you will not have a trade-in.
So you take their 2 biggest potential profit levers, the financing markup and the trade-in lowball off the table right away.
Exactly. You force them to give you a relatively clean price quote for just the vehicle itself, plus taxes and fees.
Smart. And step 3.
Step 3, create your truth sheet, just a simple spreadsheet. Column 1, dealer name. Column 2, advertised price. Column 3, the actual itemized OTD quote they sent you via email.
So you can compare apples to apples, the real costs side by side. It takes the emotion out of that fake low price.
Precisely. It neutralizes the bait price and lets you see who's actually offering the best real deal. Remember, a dealer's website. It's a marketing tool, not a price tag. Understanding these 3 lies is how you win online.
Okay, that makes sense. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. If a dealer flat out refuses to email you that clear, itemized OTD price, if they say, oh, you have to come into the showroom for pricing, what does that refusal tell you right then and there about how real that adverse number actually is?
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They know they can't justify it in writing. They need you in the store where they can use pressure and confusion.
So use that OTD email template. Demand transparency up front. It's your best defense.
And that is the final, most infuriating rug pull. The dealer's rug pull. You were sold a dream online, the perfect car at the perfect price. The rug gets pulled the moment you inquire, and you discover the price is a fantasy, contingent on a dozen asterisks in the fine print. So let's tie it all together. This week, we saw the CEO pull the rug on her personal risk. We saw the investor pull the rug on the EV growth narrative. And we see dealers pull the rug on consumers every single day with deceptive pricing. The common thread is the massive gap between the story being told and the reality of the data. Our job here is to expose that gap. That's our show for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Confessions of an Insider. You can find all the data, charts, and full articles for everything we discussed today on theloganzone.com. Stay sharp, stay informed, and stay tuned. We'll see you next week.